think you get to have.
I'm hearing all these. He's like, "That's okay. You guys made it to 2 minutes.
We should be.
And then he starts
Hey,
talking
buddy.
about, oh my gosh,
How you doing,
some of them are
Silas?
gonna make it to this next milestone.
Should
20% of my
be
students get to it."
good.
I hear around it, and I'm like, I'm still feeling awful. Like, you feel weird, right? It's like, you feel good.
All right, one viewer. Rob, if that's you, just type something in the group chat or something so I can tell that it's you.
And now I'm like,
And then we'll get started in like the next 10 minutes. As you can see, Scotty's right there, and Larry's off the screen. So just type something. Let me know.
Which was kind of cool. And after all of that, I set up. I'm like, okay, I feel weird, and everybody's looking at me, and he's like, oh my god, see guys, our least experienced swimmer held it 3 minutes cigarette. They're all looking at me like. And he says, keep in mind, I've had guys who can hold their breath 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and they go out in the water and they flail. Which I did. I flailed until my sister reminded me, hey, no, it's fine. We went to on the yard.
All right. Can't see any comments right now, so let me see.
Because I was underweighted. Yeah. Like we found out later in the trip that I needed 6 pound weight on me in order to go down. Yeah. Because the guy's like, oh, you took your
Okay, yes, Rob can see us. All right, now I can see you too. All right, for some reason it's not in the group chat, so. All right, this works. Give me a few minutes to organize the guys and we'll start in like 5 minutes. Okay? Hi, Rob. Okay. So we're ready to go. We're ready to go. We're already streaming, so where do you want us to sit? Yeah. So we need to, yeah. Okay, yes, Rob can see us. All right, now I can see you too. All right, for some reason it's not in the group chat, so. All right, this works. Give me a few minutes to organize the guys and we'll start in like 5 minutes. Okay. So we're ready to go. Right now, we're ready to go. Okay, yes, Rob can see us. All right, now I can see you too. All right, for some reason it's not in the group chat, so. All right, this works. Give me a few minutes to organize the guys and we'll start in like 5 minutes.
I told him that his dad is our school.
We have comments. Hi, Terrence. We're literally just watching living room. I know. Okay, lower the output volume. Is that better? How's that? Sorry, we haven't started yet. Not officially, anyway. We'll be ready in a few minutes. All right, Scotty, where do you want to sit? Like, are we just gonna be like here at a table? What's the plan here? Like, what do you
There's no plan, man.
Yeah,
I don't really have a plan. Where do you want us to be?
I thought we could just, I guess we'd sit on the couch and then we'd just leave the laptop and like have an informal conversation like that, and I'll look at the comments every few minutes.
Okay.
whatever you want to do. I'm just here to make jokes.
They can see us from the couch.
Yeah. So I mean, I just assumed we'd like put the laptop like right there or something.
Okay.
Is that good?
Yeah. Hey.
Okay.
You're like.
All right.
I'm not gonna look
There's
at the
also take off some.
Right.
Okay, perfect. Take off that red shirt. Sorry, Terrence.
All right. Wait, do you want me to move?
Yes, yeah.
At this point, I have no incentive to be here. I honestly.
I thought that was a table. Okay, hang on. Let me figure this out. Okay.
All right.
Here's what
There
we're
is it.
going on and on. I love it.
Basketball discussion.
All right. I think this will work.
I'm
sorry, bear with me.
Depressive states in Virginia. Dancing.
All right, kill all output volume. Okay, I did. All right, here we go.
C is commenting, so.
All right, 3 people watching now. Again, really sorry about this. Hey, buddy. All right, Scotty, let's go. It's showtime.
Classic.
All right, you guys, we are about to get started. I'm going to tweet this out in a second once we get rid of Scotty's dog.
He likes you, man. We're not going to get rid of him. He can tell.
Hi, Nick.
He can tell who is afraid or doesn't like dogs.
I
And he
don't
will
like
cure you by
dogs.
this.
I do not like dogs. Ugh.
Hey, sweetie, can you please call Silas over? He's abusing now.
I mean, I'll deal with it. Okay, so here we go. That's 1, 2, and 3.
If you kept that up, you guys would
Doing
be legally
exactly what I
married.
normally do in real life, which is engaging in a Twitter debate
Oh,
with
All right, we're gonna
Terrence
get
and
started right about now.
Boomdo right now.
All right, let's do it.
I'm just here so I don't get flamed.
Okay,
pretty much.
so this is a little bit of a delay, so I'll be checking in a little bit for questions. But what was I going to say? Okay, Rob, we are ready to go. You can go ahead and start advertising us. We'll just start the show. All right, so hi, ladies and gents. Welcome to oh, yeah, I should probably take off this red shirt. Sorry.
Noob.
Take off that red shirt. Take off that red shirt.
Well, man, there are kids
I'm
present
keeping
here.
it right here.
You're gonna, hey, if you get one of those restraining orders, you can't teach anymore. They'll not let you around schools.
All right, much better. Sorry, amateur mistake. All right, so welcome to, I guess, the informal CGB's Twitter live stream summit. You all know me already. You probably also know Scott, who is on the far side of the screen in the Cal jersey. But I'm gonna give you a chance to meet Larry. So, Larry, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I am
Robot Larry.
the artist formerly known as Robot Larry. I
do you mean
think I've also
formerly?
referred to as Cyber Larry. And for the CGB audience, I write under the screen name Reef. And
Are you allowed to admit all that?
yeah, I'm sorry.
Are you allowed to admit all that?
I just can't put it in writing. That's a whole nother story that we
Okay.
won't get into.
All right.
Okay.
I'll
Um,
get people knocking on my door.
Yeah, and that's a story we'll save for podcast too. But
Okay.
I write under a different screen name for various reasons, but here I am.
Okay. So, why are we here tonight? Well, one, I was in the area. I usually live in the LA area. Haven't ever met either of these two guys before. Scott just made us dinner, so we just decided, hey, we have a hoops expert here. We're in the middle of dead football season. Might as well kind of check in on things and just respond to our audience who haven't heard from us on the podcast for a while. So I don't know. Let me check the comments. Where are we at? Okay, I have Larry, CGB present. Okay, Nick is watching. Rob. Okay,
Oh,
cool.
poor Nick.
Cool.
Dude, man, there's nothing else to do in Sacramento.
All right.
Save yourself, Nick.
I think one thing to add on top of what Nam was just saying is when we were having dinner, we're just talking about how how we got into CGB and how it sort of impacted our lives and what a great community it is. So one of the reasons I was excited about doing this is I've hung out with a lot of CGB guys, and it's always like family, and it's all, and the discussions we have are crazy. And shout out to Nick. I've hung out with a lot of basketball games with him. Twist, that's a whole nother story. Rico, all those guys, and hopefully this gives you a taste of what it's like when CGBers meet up in real life and just talk. Cal.
Yeah. So, first order of business. I don't know. Do we want to start with the football side? Do we want to go talk about shooty hoops? Do we want you to respond to months of slander on the podcast? Where should we start?
Just on the Robot Larry. Let me just say real quick.
All right.
Because I have many different personas on CGB. But for those of you who've actually read my stuff, half of what I write is emotional, right? And so I do find it amusing that Scotty likes to refer to me, and he's trolling me obviously, as a robot, because I do like my stats, I do like my charts. Twist the other day on Facebook posted a picture of me actually taking notes at a basketball game. But
I've heard offhanded reports of you doing exactly the same
I think
thing.
some of the reason that I do that is I and Vishal and Nick and anyone who's ever sat with me at a basketball game will attest to this. I get so emotionally into Cal in crazy, insane, like, why is that person here and you should be taken away in a straitjacket sort of ways, that the robot persona is my analysis persona, which I use to sort of see what's there and occasionally make a little bit of money by seeing what's there. But I think our audience out there, half of whom I probably met in person, will attest, like, I am an insane person when it comes to Cal and my love for Cal. And by the way, that's also part of the reason why I'm here is because these guys have become part of my family. So fine, I understand the meme, but I want y'all to know I bleed blue and gold. Also,
Because if he bled red, he wouldn't be a robot.
we take off that way.
So I guess, first of all, Nick says hi. He says shout out. She doesn't understand. His wife doesn't understand the meme either. But I guess we'll just kind of start with the topic du jour. Right now, that's we still don't have a defensive coordinator on the football side. I guess it's probably not illegal to mention at this point. I think it's time we address the speculation. Hopefully nobody's like, it's not that secret basically, but we did have a guy who we wanted at defensive coordinator. As far as I know, and yes, if you've been following, it was, we strongly tried to get Tosh Lupoi to come here, but as you guys all know, like, it was really, with Sonny having one foot out the door for most of the offseason, whether or not he admits to it or not to the team, Tosh could not be convinced to come here. So we're back, as far as I know, to square one. We have no defensive coordinator, and National Signing Day is a month and a half away. How do we feel?
Not really surprised. Isn't this typical Cal? I don't know. I saw something posted where they said, we've never seen a Division I program posting an opening for a defensive coordinator. It's like on some job site or something.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was really funny. I laughed pretty hard about that. So if we're going to go glass half full,
Okay.
it's because we're waiting for somebody who's on the staff of a bowl that hasn't played. Woo!
Technically possible. I mean, that would be like the incredibly optimistic view. For those of us who would prefer, for example, for us to pick up the Washington defensive coordinator, that's very possible. One interpretation. Interpretation number two is nobody wants the job. So,
Well, okay, that seems like a great place for me to jump in, because I'm here for basketball and to be cynic. So my question for both of you who know football better than I do and probably know the candidates better than I do, what's our best case scenario? Like, given the coaching situation, we all know how much of a morass that is, right? Like, what are we really expecting out of this hire? Like, what is the ceiling? What are your wildest realistic dreams for this hire?
well, you just said two things that contradict each
Yeah,
other.
basically.
Our wildly realistic
Yeah.
dreams.
Well,
Your best case scenario, realistically. Sorry.
Okay, well, best case scenario is Alex Grinch. Not him personally, but the Alex Grinch, prototype of young, hungry, up-and-comer, great recruiter, not really one of these names, not a retread, comes in, gives us a suddenly reinvigorated defense to go with what has been a proven offensive scheme, and we stick around. Now, that's for what, generally strength of program. For you personally, who aren't going to be attending Cal games until Dykes is out, we want Kaufman 2.0. We want somebody like an Andy Boo. We want a retread. We want somebody who's just, we want somebody who's just going to set it all on fire
so that Dykes is gone and you can get a real coach in. That's what you want.
What do you want?
I want the Alex Grinch tech just because I think I'd love to see if we could combine, the Bear Raid with, some semblance of aggressive attacking, semi-competent defense. I'd like to see that. Because the way I'm seeing it, Dykes keeps looking for other jobs. And he's going to leave. He's either going to get fired or he's going to leave. This is what he's been doing. He's been looking around. It leaves the program in a much better state if he leaves with us on an upswing, both momentum and recruiting. So if he's going to go, I'd rather he go while us are enjoying some success.
So I guess my question is, why would someone like that come here given the circumstances? What's in it for them?
Because they're insane.
Money,
Because if you're young
opportunity.
and if you're from some, I don't know, all the schools in the SEC, but nobody knew who Alex Grinch was before that. You get some secondary coach out of someplace else and you need the breakthrough. And he's basically looking at it. Like, honestly, if I were looking at this as a job, it's kind of no lose for that because, okay, you're going to get a pay bump. No matter what you do, if you're semi-competent, the defense is going to be better next year almost no matter what you do. Like Nam and I were talking about in the pods, just because of the returning experience we've got. And granted, Nick pointed out, most of the experience seemed to be in getting run past or run over. But still, you've got older, more experienced players.
You should get some sort of performance.
You should get some type of boost, and that's just coming in and bringing another competent body.
So this is kind of why I would have been okay morally. I mean, I guess I wrote a whole column about this because I was very prepared for the possibility of Tosh coming back. So I had to walk through it and bargain with myself or whatever. But
I read that column. You should just publish it.
But you really should, man. It was guys. This was a good column. Now
Great column.
we're teasing it now. If you sign up for what are you calling this pod or this stream?
It's called The Table. That's what.
Okay. If you sign up for the Table Premium, we'll throw in access to Nam's secret column. It's awesome stuff. Karen.
But Tosh would have been an ideal scenario here because it's a high upside, addition. Somebody who could have really dramatically raised the ceiling of the program, and we need to take those kinds of chances. I thought it would have been really nice, and then all the news of Sonny and Baylor came out, so it didn't work out, but that would have been okay for me. And I think a lot of the things that people felt about Tosh at the time were other schools get coaches hired away all the time. And I think that was our first instance in quite a while in which we faced that same scenario. So I called it our introduction almost to big boy football, because ultimately if Tosh's only real sins were recruiting for his new employer, which is his job for his new employer, it's if we're not taking the kinds of actions to, make ourselves more competitive and take a couple of calculated risks, some other school is going to. And I thought that Tosh would have been a really nice hire. It still might happen someday. We'll see. Evidently the door on him returning is not as closed as we thought, if he was apparently entertaining offers or whatever. But with that being said, Alex Grinch, young type, would be really good. But part of it is it's a tough situation to be in. We don't know how long Sonny's going to be here. Best case scenario, if you're somebody like Larry who doesn't want Sonny anymore, he'll be gone at the end of this year. And I don't know. What would definitely not excite anyone would be to get an old retread. I know the popular name right now is Tim DeRuyter, which nobody's going to get excited about that. So I don't know. It is a really tough situation to be in. And we don't even need a really good defense to win a lot of games. You guys know that I say that all the time. If we can average 30 points a game given up, we should be able to win eight games easily. So all we're looking for is somebody who can maintain that acceptable standard, and hopefully we do win that 8 games and Sonny gets hired out and everybody wins, right? I think that's a pretty close to ideal scenario.
I'm kind of curious. So what's your take on the Tosh thing? Because you're sort of, I know I tease you a little bit, but you're kind of the rational guy. Like, I'm just here to be sort of sarcastic. Nam he's a millennial, he has no soul to sell, but he's cool with Tosh coming back. So I'm kind of curious with, what's the respectable, rational, yet passionate Cal fan view?
I was never that upset with Tosh to begin with, I guess. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's rational. I think that was just more my reaction to everything that I read, and I get that people close to the program were upset about a lot of stuff that went down with Shaq Thompson and the stuff that happened in recruiting right after, and transcripts and yada yada. I think
It seems like standard business, though.
well, exactly. And I think what led up to that, out of the program and a lot of insiders in the program, it was made out, I think, to make Tosh look like the villain. But I think taking a step back and looking at all the data we saw, or all of the information we saw coming out of there, Tedford was not a great boss. Let's be honest about that, and let's be realistic about that. And I'm sure there were legitimate grievances on both sides. Employer, employee, they have bad relationships. It often doesn't work out. He went to a place where he furthered his career, and his career has been furthered. And he did what he had to do, and it just seemed like Nam said, this is as usual. And I think there were a lot of hurt feelings in the Cal community that I don't think were in line with reality, the reality of football and employment and big money and the real world. So maybe I am a little too cynical in that way.
Because we have this vision of ourselves as a program that, does things the right way. And that's literally a phrase I would have uttered like 3 or 4 years ago too. And that's an admirable vision, but ultimately in the grand scheme of things, like, had we rehired him and had he chosen to come here, as was rumored, like, there are a lot worse things happening at other programs. And if you can't even bend your moral register even slightly, you're putting yourself at a supreme disadvantage, because somewhere else, someone is willing to take at least that step. We're not even, we're not Baylor, we're not Louisville, we're hiring a coach that left. That's not the end of the world.
Here's the thing. I've heard one side of the end of a bad employment relations story a lot in my life, and judged, and then heard the other side and thought, oh, it's like a completely different thing just happened. And I don't know that we've ever heard that other side. Mike Silver's hinted at it a little bit, but hasn't wanted to tell that part of the story. And I actually respect that. Tosh just left, and he did what he had to do, and as far as I can tell, he has not said anything bad publicly about Cal or Tedford since then. He's just gone about his business.
Which is pretty impressive too. Like, we threw him under the bus. Like, we have, I don't know if we're allowed to say this or not, but we have reasonable evidence that he was not the person that was responsible for Intrigate, but was forced to fall on the sword for that. And that becomes one of those things, one of those factors in like, oh, am I really appreciated here if we can't even match me at a competitive salary for like the work that I'm doing? And not to like belabor the point about Tosh, because like that ship has sailed, pun intended. But ultimately, I think out of the given options, because what we're staring down now is like, we go another couple of weeks without a defensive coordinator. Oh, and by the way, we are replacing at the very least one coach, possibly more than that. Like, what's that going to do to recruiting the longer that we wait? Nobody knows. Nobody really knows. So that would have been the best possible option. And now we're just waiting. Nobody knows anything yet.
Maybe people know something, because didn't that one Army All-American safety has us in their top 3? Like,
yeah, Cyrus Habibo Liko.
Who in their right mind would have us in their top 3 when we don't even know who our
I think he's a Bay Area. I'm pretty sure he's a Bay Area kid.
But there's that. So you're like, all right. So what is he being told?
Who knows? Maybe in the most optimistic sense, like we go back to what you said, is like the coach is still coaching right now.
Yeah.
Like we can hope that that's what's happening. So that's where we are on the defensive coordinator front. It is obviously readily apparent that Sonny will be back this year, much to many people's disappointment. Obviously, like we hope he's successful now that we know that he's coming back. But that's the way that he treated us all offseason is definitely really troublesome. And then he hasn't made any public press appearances yet, so nobody can go up there and ask him the real hard-hitting journalism questions about like how serious was the Baylor rumors, and we can watch him deny it.
Isn't that big boy football, like you just said?
I suppose that's true. I don't know how I feel. It's just like because this is like the third consecutive off season in which he's like made overtures at leaving. Second, I don't know. Eventually, like it's got to happen one way or another, right?
Well, I guess in following Larry's point about employee-employer relationships,
Yep.
We don't even know who's going to be in the admin, and why would he be? Why would he be like? We're expecting him to be loyal to us. Like the support that he's gotten from us is, oh, by the way, you know how we hired you, and we expected to do these things. Now, like 80% of your class has to have a grade point at this. So, but we still expect you to go and do what you said you're going to do.
It's true. It is a tough institutional job, and for those people who continue to make the point about Mike McIntyre and such, like he didn't want to deal with some of that institutional expectations, because we are still a small budget school, but we're also expecting everybody to have really high GPAs. So it's all weird. Cal is a tough place to be in, and not a great defensive coordinator job at the moment, unless you're somebody who's looking to make a big break. And even then, you might not be here that long, because who knows how long the current staff will be here. This is just great. The conversation,
Happy New Year, guys.
The conversation is just off to a fantastic
This
start.
is what you did. You brought the cynical robot into the.
Oh man.
For the record, I held back a lot of cynicism. There were 2 or 3 times when I wanted to jump in with even more cynicism, and I decided, you know what, I'll let the football guys talk.
You were streaming something.
It's the holidays.
Yeah.
It's the holidays.
Moving away from the defensive coordinator system, it's obviously, we talked a little bit about Sonny, Baylor, all that stuff. Has anything else really happened to us since in the off season, like last month? Not really.
Hey man, they had a town hall meeting to discuss
yeah.
athletics.
So this is no longer my wheelhouse area. I assume you guys have been keeping up with that, so I'm going to let you take over. Like, how do we feel about the state of athletics with Mike Williams calling a secret town
We
hall
can't
meeting?
even play good cop, bad cop. It's going to be cynical and more cynical.
Yeah.
I think. It basically, is it too hot takey to say that the fact that he called a town hall and it was essentially a waste of everyone's time, and they probably in the process insulted a great many of major donors by so incompetently not including them on the exclusive invite-only list because they're stupid. It's tough for me because someone I really respect, Scooty, I guess, knew Mike Williams from before, and she said that he is sharp. He's actually almost ruthless in how he goes about things. He gets good information. And yet everything that I see publicly, keep in mind, it's got to be almost an impossible job, but everything is screaming incompetent leadership to me. And this is even me with the caveat of saying, I run a small business. Hiring and firing is really hard. I get it wrong all the time. You luck into things, and I can't imagine with that being magnified both in scope and then being handcuffed. Like, hell, I'm the boss. I can do whatever the heck I want. Well, if you're handcuffed by having to answer to things and having a bureaucracy in place, it must be frustrating as heck. You may not be able to get anything done. And all I can say by contrast is I've seen other organizations similarly bloated, similarly incompetent. Like you can look at, how the Warriors were for years, and that was changed, basically from top down.
Yeah.
You can look at the opposite, how the 49ers were and then how they are now. And again, it's a top-down change. And in all of my dealings with Cal Athletics, sadly, over the time where I've been participating at CGB, I've had a chance to meet some. I've been, they're just not really impressive. And sadly enough, more recently, I've seen how they treat folks that donate, and it's very poor. There is zero reason for anybody to be loyal to Cal Athletics at all, and that comes from how they go about doing business. So the long and short of it doesn't matter how many town halls they have. We are incompetently led. We have no vision. We have no idea how to execute that vision. Thus, we are wasting tons of money, and it's probably going to end up with them taking a hatchet to this program because that's the easiest thing. We're just not spending money here and here. And it's going to be a huge, huge firestorm. I changed the word at the end.
I mean, I thought I could get more cynical than that, but
Hey.
I'm not sure that I can. I think I just have a little different take on it, which might be even more depressing. I just don't have any expectations. Having grown up a Cal fan, been a donor, been a season ticket holder, interacted in a legal capacity a little bit with the university. They've always underwhelmed in sharing of information, in organization, in administration of relatively simple things. I've never had anything quite as personal as I think what you ran into when you were trying to honor your father with them. And it sounded like that was just, like running into a Kafka-esque kind of, nightmare of indifference. But every time I've dealt with this program, unless I got a person on the line who's actually a human being who wanted to go above and beyond, and those things happen, like institutionally, I just don't have a whole lot of faith in a lot of UC Berkeley, I think, and I'm getting really cynical, in a lot of the UC system, but certainly not on a campus where, let's face it, athletics is not valued in the way it is at even some other UCs, much less other institutions of higher learning. In the campus where sometimes it's actually devalued, right? And then you add on top of that the bureaucracy, right? And you add on top of that all of the inefficiencies of being in a state system and all of the different stakeholders that folks have to answer to. I am an alum, I am a sports fan, I go root for teams and players, but I don't have a whole lot of hope that the athletic department is ever going to be well run.
Oh my God, this is it's
there's been a lot
season,
of
right?
Man's gonna jump.
there have been a lot of discussions lately, for example, about Ken Montgomery and a lot of what was going on with him at the bonfire, and that's a different aspect of the same thing. It's a lot of stakeholders who don't get a lot of things in the same way, who come to decisions based on God knows what, and I just go to the game and sing songs, honestly, and whatever happens, happens. That's how low my expectations are. I think it would be a shame if sports got cut, but I don't know. I read the field hockey piece, and a lot of people were outraged, and I just shrugged. I thought that's Cal Athletics. That's what they do. So sorry, but that's kind of where I stand on it. I'm still always going to love the university and its athletics, but
And that's the crazy thing, because when I think about it, so I went, obviously I went to Cal.
We all did.
Cal was
Go there.
hard. I was talking to a patient of mine today who's at Cal right now, and we were commiserating over she's a chem major. I was like, oh God, no. OChem was the worst grade that I've gotten in my life. And then I told her about my physics final where I got a 25 out of 100 and almost cried on the spot, and then found that it was curved and I really got an A in the class. And that was because we had a visiting astrophysics professor decide to give us his astrophysics final instead of writing a new final for our 8A thing, Cal, But I told her, I was so the funny thing is, as poorly as Cal treated me, it prepared me to do well in dental school. And in dental school, it's a private school. And they made it easy. Hell, I almost missed the deadline to apply for a major at Cal because I didn't even know we were supposed to do it. At dental school, they're like, oh, here, stamp this, put your thumbprint here. I'm like, you signed up for the boards. I'm like, cool. I didn't even know how to, they did all of that. And yet, when I think, where do I feel a connection? I feel a connection to Cal. I actually don't. That's a Cal who did not care about me one bit while I was there, honestly. And yet, private dental, ortho, same program, really good program. I have very fond memories of some of the instructors who went out of their way to mentor me. But the school itself, I just don't feel that connection.
I think, let's just go off on this tangent then, because it's a holiday podcast and we don't have to always talk sports. I was actually just having lunch at Cal with 5 of my former students are at Cal now, and they are all just so in love with the experience and all the people that they're meeting. I taught at a very small charter school where our whole graduating class was 80 kids, and now there's the whole world in front of them, and they have the same complaints that I had about Sproul and signing up for classes and big lectures and all of the things that make Cal not a personal experience, and yet somehow out of all of that comes the fact that we're here in Union City today having ribs,
That were good ribs.
with family members that we've never even met in person. I've met Scotty a few times, but you get the idea. Because we love this institution despite everything I just said about the athletic department. And maybe me feeling that way about the athletic department and institutions is just like a defense mechanism. I know I'm going to be disappointed a lot, so I'd rather just expect disappointment. But yeah, it's not going to change how much I love the place. And it's not going to change that feeling I get when I walk on campus or when I run past Memorial or when I walk into Haas. That's always going to be the case. It's just always going to be a big lumbering monstrosity of incompetence. Wow, is that too much? It may have been too much, but that's how I feel. That's how I feel.
Scotty, do you plug this nearby? Because I just realized we only have 20 minutes on your laptop.
Oh, okay. Technical difficulties already. I don't remember.
All right.
Let me
So-
find an extension cord.
We're going to try to find an extension cord because we have like 20 minutes left. That's why I went. Here's my take on this. It's not my job to really pay attention to what's in the athletic department. Like a lot of legal jargon and economic stuff that, quite frankly, is not in my wheelhouse. CGB does have a really high number of number of lawyers per capita, so you get enough of that from the other guys, especially Twist, who lives for this stuff. But so that's not really for me. The notable decisions that Mike Williams has had to make do certainly speak to a level of, it doesn't really give us a lot of reason to feel confident in him. I definitely agree with that. And we're looking here specifically at the contract extension situation last year with Sonny, right? In that situation, we have some data that says, okay, we're on an upward trajectory, but are we really once we look underneath some of that? And I think the kicker and the part that really told me, okay, what vision does Mike Williams have of our football program, at least, is like to allow Sonny to have a rollover every year that he has, what is it, like 7 wins and 950, like APR, something like that. Going 7-5 every year means that you are a mediocre program. You're not even a good program at that point. You got to go at least 8 wins. And just even making that small delineation tells me a whole lot about what the future of Cal athletics and, more specifically football, is supposed to look like under him. So that's where I'm at with that. Scotty is currently figuring out the power cord situation.
And this is complicated stuff,
Yes.
man. I thought the computers just ran themselves. How do you kids do it then?
We figure it out. And so that's how I feel about it. And we'll see where it goes from there. But right now, someone asked me to cut a wrestling promo on Mike Williams. Basically, all of his stuff has made us think that he's a jabroni. And more specifically, the institution itself is like jabroni-esque. All right, and candy
Sorry,
asses
Scooty.
and candy asses and so forth. That's how I feel about They went through a lot more specific detail than me, but I guess the only thing is, like, if this is the future that I have to look forward to, these gentlemen are both about a decade older than me. Is like
About.
I'll take that. I'll take that. About a decade.
about a little bit more than a decade, I guess.
Yeah, I'm glad.
But I'm still young enough to think, like, in my conversations with people in the athletic department, there is a tremendous potential here. Like, I really feel like, people who make the argument that we could be an elite program, and we are in several aspects and in several sports, just like none of the really major revenue ones. There's a tremendous potential here to make Cal into a national power if there was a sustained push for it. And we really haven't seen that because of all of those various stakeholders and really just not having the right people in place yet. That's how, Yes? No? How do you feel about that?
I was going to talk about never seeing a Rose Bowl until I die, and I just decided that's not, what you need to hear right now. It's not what you need to hear.
Look, I'm at the point where
I'm going to die a lot sooner than you, man.
If the Cubs can win, we can win eventually.
It's not that bad. In my lifetime, the 91 team, and then the
I was born that year. Oh my
team,
God, you are old.
or 04
way
team,
old.
whichever way you want to look at it. But you know which ones I'm talking about, right? We're both top 10 quality teams that just ran into national championship level teams. And that's a lot of Cal's luck. It's
Still my favorite team of all time.
Which one?
Kowalski, Russell Wyatt.
Yeah, that was a great. I was at Memorial. I want to say it was 24-17. Does that sound right? When we lost to Washington that year.
Yeah.
24-17.
That pass in the corner.
Yeah.
I remember I couldn't see it.
And we had a chance to tie at the end, and I got rolled up that game, and you don't need to hear all that, but that was a great team, and the 04-05 team was a great team. I still have my Road to the Rose Bowl T-shirt before we were robbed of that. So
we had plane flights and hotel rooms booked.
I clearly got this wrong. They're way older than 10 years old.
I went. Thank you, Dan. I went. In fact, I had tickets to that Rose Bowl. I went to that Holiday Bowl, and it was cold and rainy, and that was Aaron Rodgers' last game, and we got beaten badly by Texas Tech.
But who was coaching Texas Tech?
Oh, good God, let's not get started with that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And then I
He's
went.
been tormenting us for years.
Then I went to
Now
that
he's on the
Texas
inside.
Rose Bowl. I sat at the Rose Parade and saw the Texas man walking down the street, which is still a nightmare that I will carry with me. So, but that team was close, obviously. So twice in my lifetime we've been close. Where I have a hard time believing we are going to be a sustained power, but I think we can cycle into years like that with the right combination of coaching and a good talent cycle. I think it can happen.
You basically need.
We got a request from Nick for you to trade war stories. Now, this is a very common theory that I have, which is, with any gathering of Cal fans in about 10 minutes, you'll probably share where you were in 2007 for the Oregon State game. So me and Scotty have talked about this before, but this is your chance to broadcast it to our viewing audience of 6 people currently, and whoever watches this on CGB later on.
Hi, Mom. Thanks for tuning in.
Where were you? For the
I mean,
Oregon State
mine was very exciting. I lived in Atlanta at the time. It was a barbecue with friends, and I was talking all kinds of trash because we were better than like SEC teams theoretically at the time, right? This is like the heart of SEC country. A lot of folks who thought West Coast football was pansy-ass football, and I'm coming in talking trash about Cal, but we were number 2 in the country walking into that.
Right. Yep.
And it was in the. I don't have that great a story. I do remember being on the floor when Riley got tackled, and not wanting to get up for a good 20 minutes, just literally lying on the floor while my friends went ahead and had their party around me. That was devastating. It was such a bad ending and a bad decision.
I was in middle school, so high school, 07. Yeah, no, I was like in high school. So I told this before, but like the short version is, I hadn't even I wasn't even watching the game. Like my boy and I, we eventually, like childhood friends, both eventually went to Cal. He's just messaging me because we were reading. I think it must have been on ESPN, right? Yeah, it must have been like on ESPN or something. But like we were too poor.
Maybe it was a code on the paper.
We were like too poor to like afford cable at that point, so we were just watching the game on Yahoo Gamecast, and then he copies the play-by-play description to me, and we just like have a meltdown. Like we didn't actually get to even watch the play itself till later, but that's where I was. I didn't even watch the thing.
I guess as devastated as I felt, that whole game, it's not like, I don't know, it's not like the Arizona Hail Mary, where you're expecting to win, and then what the heck was that? I mean, the way we were playing that whole, it was at Oregon State, in Corvallis, in the rain, and we know as old Blues to temper our expectations anyway. I don't know about you, Scotty, when you were watching it, but as I had actually walked into that barbecue saying we were going to be number one. Because that's how I get hyped up for games. But the whole time, as soon as I see that it's raining and that we did not get off to a good start, that was a fitting end to that entire game. I mean, more disappointed really was how we reacted the rest of the year, really, and not necessarily just that one game. But Nick, we all have a million of these scars, right? There's a lot of games like that. Yeah, that's who we are.
Yeah, it pretty much is. And actually, what I remember from that game is that's that first part where you could sort of see those were the cracks in the Tedford Magic.
Yeah.
And the thing that I had the thought of, not that Riley pulled a bonehead play, but why didn't our genius coach tell him as the last thing, do this or that? And I know that afterwards, my folks hung out. I don't know if we can say if they hung out with Riley's, but Riley's dad was pretty mad about that. Like, okay, what's the deal?
The last thing out of your mouth has to be you can't get tackled inbounds. Period.
Yep.
That has to be the last thing out of your mouth.
This.
That has to be the last thing out of your mouth. So take a sack.
Count 3.
Don't try to run.
Throw it away.
You get rid of the ball on whatever. That has to be the last thing, especially for quarterback without game experience.
This is quite literally armchair arch coaching hindsight.
This is a game that happened almost a decade ago. Now, my opinion on this is, we're not the only long-suffering fan base. I think what's different about us is due to the relative average level of intelligence of our fans. We tend to be more self-aware. There's a lot of famous quotes, like if you think about how ignorance is bliss, so-and-so, not to say that all Cal people are woke. We have a certain ignoramus chunk of the fan base that we deal with.
Are
but
you reading Larry's basketball thread again?
But with that being said, I think people who are analytical by nature, and if you are going to Cal, you tend to have those traits. You obsess over the decision making that goes into a lot of this stuff. So for us to relive these things, I feel like we're not the only school that has tough losing streaks, whatever. Northwestern won their first bowl in 80 years tonight. So other
Still
schools,
don't like their coach.
but
Sure.
we're 1-0 against him as bloggers. So I just want to put that out there.
We don't.
But with that being said, it's
Do they ever not bring him?
we are
Fair.
we're just people who tend to think about stuff like that more. Moving away from this, so we've already touched on defensive coordinator, talked a little about the state of athletics and how we're jabronis and candy asses. What I had written down here in terms of next topics is, this is your chance to shine, Larry, since nothing is really happening in football season right now, and we have all off season to lay out our previews for football. Tell us a little bit about how you're feeling about basketball.
I'm actually going to flip that. I have no shortage of opinions on basketball, but since we've missed the presence of Scotty in the previews this year, hopefully we're soon to rectify that. And I actually haven't had a chance to talk to Scott much about basketball. I'm actually interested, Scott. How are you feeling about basketball this year?
Yeah, boy, I'm actually pleasantly surprised because, we kind of, you were telling me really the only reason why I thought we had any hope at all is because you kept telling me, hey, Charlie Moore's the truth. I hadn't had a chance to see him. I didn't have time to scout him, to do any of that. Then I saw him in person, and because usually my rule of thumb, I was telling you, I've got certain rules. First-time starter in football, certain key positions, no linebacker, they're going to stink. First year you come over as a JC, you're going to stink. First year point guard, you're going to have ups and downs, mostly downs. Mostly like, oh my God, don't. They're not even wearing our jersey, man. How did you throw, that's, like Jerome Randall, freshman, disaster.
Yeah.
Absolute disaster. Like, trying to think of a non-Jason Kidd point guard who, as a freshman, you go and say, man, like if you knew nothing, like, one of my staff members went to the game and she knows hoops. Like her kids both play varsity hoops, and that's all they do. They watch hoops. They don't know any of the Cal player. And afterwards, she's like, oh yeah, Punkart can ball. He's like, yeah, he's a freshman. She's like, no way. I was like, yeah. And so preseason, looking at the roster, looking at where things are, you're hoping that Rab's going to take that step, get stronger, expand his game, develop more. You're hoping, like typically when you follow the progression, bigs take time. And, I wasn't really all down on Cam or King last year because they played solid defense, all things considered. You're not really expecting much out of them offensively. I remember the team that Arizona had that won the national championship. They had 3 guards, and they had 2 dudes. One of them, 2 dudes that were basically just there to defend and rebound. Edgar Edgerton, who wore all the, old Denzel Washington, you got game stuff, and then Bennett Davidson, who was a volleyball player, and all he could do was jump. He played defense. He couldn't shoot. He could dunk it. That was about it.
That's some deep knowledge, by the way, folks. Bring him back.
That was a long time.
To writing.
And that team, but, like there's Ludoso. He's like, you guys, we don't have to throw it into the low post. Just have a low post game.
Yeah.
He basically just said, look, guys, you set screens, you board, you defend. We're going to build our offense around guys that can cut and move and create shots. When you're looking at where things are going, I'm sad.
We're up to 11 viewers now, by the way.
Oh,
we just
man.
doubled our audience.
Sweet. Well, am I sad we didn't pick up the win against San Diego State? Perhaps more than most people realize.
But that's because you have a long-standing beef with San Diego State.
Hey, man. I was about to say I didn't start it, but I did. So yeah, I did. So I gotta own that one. I am sad that we didn't pull it off against Virginia. But when I look at the pieces as they're coming together potential-wise, when you're looking at, like, oh man, I thought Jabari was done. That is what I was thinking when, like,
I think you messaged me that.
I was like, who has back spasms? And sorry, I get hurt a lot, man. I know. You don't just, who has back spasms for that long? And, so the fact that he's back already, I'm just like, wow.
We got some fun comments for later.
Yeah.
I'm not going to interrupt you, but just go ahead.
But, like I look at that. I look at a freshman playing beyond his years. So I go, hey, that's cool. And for me, how like you're saying that there's certain things where you don't have, it's like tempered expectations.
Mm-hmm.
I just like watching fun like I want to go and say, this is a team that I like. Even if they don't always play great, even if they miss shots, if it's a team where I go, I like this team. Win or lose, it's fun for me because then you kind of buy in. You want to see how they do. You want to, like, for some reason, I'm holding out hope that we're going to have a double-digit game from Stephen Domingo, and it's going to break someone's heart. He's going to be dropping triples all over the place. That's, that's me looking at this team and emoting that they're my team. These are my guys. I like how they play. I like the team. And there have been teams in the past which did better, were more talented. I don't like them. I didn't like those guys. There were teams, in the later Monty era where I'm like, I know we knocked some guys off. I did not like how they played. I didn't like their attitude. I didn't like their body language. I have no connection to them. Off they go. There they go. These guys feel okay about it. And this is non-strategic. This is deliberately not going into I think we should be running more flex, or let's go more horns, and we should do more. That's really more your thing. Do I worry sometimes strategically that whole established RAB versus do it more within flow, cutting other things, because he's not a low post bruiser, but he's fast. And, you look at that, I worry a bit about, one of the points you brought up. Are we trying to highlight him as kind of like a recruiting thing for some of those 5-star things? We're like, oh, look, hey, they designed the offense around him. They feature him, they highlight him, when really that's not his game. It just isn't. That's sort of like, it's round peg, square hole. It's a little bit like last year. Like we were hoping that Ty Wallace would be point guard. Like, all right, we're giving. No, it didn't make sense. It didn't fit his skill set. And so I'm worried a little bit there. Like, all right, but he's not healthy. He hasn't been healthy. He hasn't had the time. We haven't had time as a cohesive starting unit healthy. So I look at it like we haven't played our best ball. We haven't had time to be healthy and be together for our best ball. We would have liked to have picked up a couple of those in the preseason. We're not. So we're just going to have to go and win conference now. That's okay.
I absolutely agree with you in terms of my emotional reaction to this team. I like those guys, and I like the composition of this team. I like the way, there are true point guards, and this team can get into a flow in a way that last year really had to rely on a lot of ISO and a lot of taking advantage of individual talents. But it's a fun, likable team, and that's sort of where I'm at with the season is so far it's been such a disappointment because we haven't been able to get out and show our stuff. And we still haven't played a full lineup yet the entire year, and get well soon camp. Hopefully that gets rectified really soon. But it's remarkable, first of all, because Konzo takes a lot of heat, and I give him a lot of heat on the boards. But it's remarkable that within that, we are statistically a top 5 defense by a lot of really credible measures. I think we've been a little bit lucky to be there, but let's say we're a top 10 to 15 defense. That's still really remarkable with the turnover we've had and the number of injuries that we've had. But the offense is pretty abysmal right now relative to talent. Some of that, as Nick has pointed out in a column, is just, I think we've been on the end of some bad shooting luck, but some of it is like, we don't have an answer for a double, and we don't have a coherent offense right now. But having coached this sport before and having watched this sport a lot, you don't take your best player out for, I don't know, how long was Jabari out? 8 games, 6 games, whatever it was. Or your best perimeter scorer out and then just plug him back in and he can't practice. And your big man's out, your All-American big man's out, and then he comes back, and then he can't go to his offhand, which is really his stronger hand in the post, and that happens. And you take out one of your bigs out of the rotation, and you've got to play a smaller lineup more, which you haven't played as much in practice, and it's not your ideal lineup. There are a lot of things conspiring right now to put us in a position where I think a lot of my reaction to this team is I just don't know yet, right?
We're like a fourth of the way through the season.
And this is the problem.
We haven't seen, that's the thing. We haven't.
So, this is what's heartbreaking.
You're like,
God. Yes, the preseason is over, and in a lot of ways that was a wasted preseason. I think if you had told me about those injuries, this is about what I would have expected. The Virginia game, I'm still sort of getting over because that was a coin flip until that last 3 minutes and that unfortunate call. But
he handled that better than I thought he was going
to. Didn't really at the game. But, those who were there can tell that story. But, yes, and we are entering the PAC conference season. And even worse than that, we're entering with a front-loaded conference schedule where we get Arizona and the LA trip, which is the only chance we get to play the LA teams up front, right? And that sucks. By the way,
I'm going to be at that LA game.
Last I checked, Oregon was outscoring UCLA. There was like a 55-50 score at halftime or something crazy like that. So I haven't checked that score yet. But I think what you said at the end there, Scotty, is kind of how I'm feeling about this season. First of all, I say every year, you know what? The conference is awesome, and Nick just wrote a column on this. Like that's why I watch. Really, is those 18 games, and those are in a lot of ways my fondest memories of Cal basketball over the year. We get to go in with a lot of our guns, and I think Friday is going to tell us a lot in terms of what do we really look like, because now everyone's healthy offensively. Cam is still working his way back, but he's more of a defensive force. But everyone's healthy offensively. They took a little time off, but now they've had time to practice. Sam Singer's playing great lately. You said all of the things that I've already been saying about Charlie Moore. Sam Fielder at the game asked me, is this where he is, or is there room? And I'm like, he hasn't played with these guys, right? Like, people are talking about, like, we need side pick and roll, and we need more cuts off the double team, and we need to get out of transition more. And I'm like, Charlie hasn't played with these dudes. I mean, not in any like pressure, like organized situation. Right? There's like Ivan was out with mono at the beginning of the practice season, right? And then Jabari went out, and we haven't seen what that looks like yet. And for anyone who's played point guard, you know, like, a lot of that's timing, and a lot of that's knowing where your dude is going to
The game I was at, I saw him running the break, and you could actually see him. You've got the instincts, and then you've got that guy can't finish. That guy's slow. I'm going to have to take it myself. Like, you literally would see, as he's going through, you could see it on his face that he's like, oh, I could thread the pass, I could do that. And he's like, that was the game where he went for 30 because he had to.
I mean, and the vision that I have for this team really is, I think back to, I mean, the other great prodigy point guard in our lifetime is obviously Jason Kidd. And that team, a lot of people don't remember, started off horribly. Was a bubble team for a very, very long time. What's the Cornell, like a bad Cornell team, like a bottom of the Ivy League Cornell team. Quanto's not going to get fired, but Lou got fired. And like, that team gelled. I don't remember off the top of my head what that last 4 weeks looked like, 5 weeks looked like, but it was an incredible run. I want to say they went like 8-1, 9-1 at the end of that conference season, and ended up being, I want to say 7 seed. Does that sound right? But comfortably in the tournament. Might have been better than that. Might have been a 5 seed, actually, now that I think about it. Now, really digging into my hoops memory here. But my point being, that team figured it out. This team is going to be a great defensive team. We know that. Like, that is not going to change. Virginia, they don't score a lot, but they are a really efficient offensive team. And we played them as tough as anyone's played them all year. That's convinced me right there. We are going to play great defense. If we can score just a little bit, we're about 150th in the nation right now. We can be like 75th in the nation the rest of the way. We're a top 25 team, and we can be better than that. So
That's what I point out.
That's hype in case you.
Yeah, no, I just thought it was funny because, like, my friend was like, why did nobody answer my question? I'm like, yo, you got, like, hoops heads, like, I'm afraid to interrupt them because, like, they just went off for, like, 15 minutes, which is like, no, like,
What was his question?
No, okay, so here's where, like, about 10 minutes ago, I was like, yo, I got some really good questions for us.
Ask us the questions,
All right, all
All right, so here's couple of different things. Like, I didn't want to interrupt the conversation because, you know, we've been talking for close to an hour now. It's like, good conversations just kind of flow, and like, it happens. Like, anybody who's watching here, half of these are like our friends who would continue tuning in no matter what, like, whatever's happening. But a couple of basketball questions. 2 are from me, and then 2 are from our friends. My friend Dallas, shout out to Dallas, wants to know what's the best team that Cal could beat if I was playing 28 minutes of point guard. Now, I think this is funny because a lot of people like to point out that I'm very similar to Brandon Chauka, who is now out of rotation. So
I don't know. We've got a hoop in the front. We're gonna have
Filipino,
to go. We need to go see
Cal Knight. Shout out to Brandon.
You know what we need to do? We need to see what his free throw percentage is.
it's terrible. I can't play basketball to save my life. but I would just pass the ball at every opportunity.
What's the best team we could beat?
Wow.
I think the better question is, because there are some really bad teams in the Pac-12 right now. Would we win a game in the Pac-12? 28 minutes.
28 minutes.
That's the question
Well, 'cause
from our boy.
We've seen some Ben Braun ball. Remember when you're down to like a walk-on playing point?
Yeah, but that's a guy who played basketball.
I know, but I'm
It
saying
would be like one of
my
these-
primary concern really is like, who would man guard?
Well, there are some.
I hate
teams
this
where the guys
question, by
can't
the way.
shoot, right? Like, because our defense, he just. Yeah, this is tough.
28 minutes?
28 minutes.
I think we win 2 games in conference.
With two.
I think we
Arizona State.
Neck for Oregon State right now, but lose to Savannah State.
we beat Oregon State at home, and Romar does something like doesn't exploit Nam.
You're gonna put
And that's
down
it.
Markel Fultz.
Somehow, Romar loses sight of the fact that he's got to post up man. And you know what?
They're gonna go on horse through. They've done that, you know.
Yeah, I hate this question.
Or he's going to say, post up that guy, and they're not going to do it because that's what.
Yeah, they're gonna throw it to the local.
Yeah. So I'm going 2 and 16, or sorry, 2 and how many games we played? 18. Yeah, 2 and 16 in conference is what I'm saying. Otherwise, it's just the stat in me goes like that's like 1.5 points per possession. Like you can't overcome that.
Look, I didn't ask this question again. I hate it. I think it's dumb. Dallas, I did this for you. So I actually had a couple of questions while I was listening to you guys, which is from my NBA mock draft for reading, Ivan Rabb was projected anywhere between like 5th and 8th last year, I think was about right. He's kind of slipped down to 14th, and I know part of that is due to like a really good draft class this year. Markel Fultz being one of those guys. Some of the guys who have trickled into Duke, Kentucky, so on and so forth, have made him kind of slide down. But like, what's your evaluation of how Ivan has grown or not grown this year?
Incomplete. He's been hurt.
Yeah.
You cannot tell.
I think yes and no. I think I would have liked to have seen him healthy. I think that what we heard about the mono and then what we know about the hand has really stunted his development. I also think, as Scotty pointed out earlier, he clearly isn't someone who's going to make his living with just a back to the basket run. I think we knew that a little bit last year. I think we know that for sure this year. That's what's been disappointing to me about the schemes is I think taking him away from the basket a little bit, using him to flash, to cut, to do some quick post stuff, to shoot a 7-8 foot jumper, like that sort of stuff is valuable in today's NBA. In fact, go out further, right? Because I heard that he was working on going out further. We haven't seen that except for one really bad shot in the Virginia game. But I think that's a lot of where the mistake is too, is Conte's trying to wedge him into being a back to the basket player. And I think he can function effectively with his back to the basket, obviously. I don't think he needs to
Oregon
be getting,
just beat UCLA, by the way.
there you go. So to all the folks who said they're walking away with the Pac-12,
Like Nick. Good job, Nick.
evidence.
Final score 89-87 on a buzzer beater. 0.8 seconds left because Oregon might be charged with a foul for storming the court early.
Okay. Well, if you're going to storm the court, might as well get teed up for it.
Okay, so that was one of my questions. My other question was, and you were hinting at this towards the end of your answer, which is, we could be better than a top 25 team if things kind of click. And I know we've said, okay, 1/4 of the way through the year, injuries have made this really hard to suss out. But as of right now, tournament team, yes or no?
Yes.
I don't see the top 25 myself because we got Jabari who can shoot. You got Charlie who can shoot. You got Ivan who can score. I haven't seen anything from the other guys looking at you, Roger and Dom. Now, if they get confident, yeah. If they gel, and they don't even have to be dominant. It's just like dude, you can't just leave them open. You can't play the Iguodala defense on them. That's it. They don't even have to be lights out. just has to be enough where people go, they might hurt us. And that opens that's where I'd see it. And I haven't seen that yet. I'm dying to see it, but I just don't know. Like,
And I guess my vision for this team is if you play elite level defense, it doesn't take much offense. That's not maybe fun for a lot of people, and it's going to be frustrating for a lot of people. First of all, there are two high caliber scorers, 3 if you count Charlie, but 2 high caliber scorers who are elite level NCAA scorers is a lot more than a lot of teams have, right? If you utilize them well. And again, then for those of you who know, like that's one of my big criticisms of Wisconsin is that double's been coming since January of last season and still no answers. But when I was driving over here, I saw Louisville was getting destroyed by Virginia. I want to say at Louisville, and I haven't looked at any of the numbers on that, but we played a high-level team. They were ranked, 12th when they came in, but a lot of the numbers indicate they're top 5 team. We played them to a coin flip. Yeah, I was at our home court, but that's without our best defender, and that's without a lot of practice time, especially getting Jabari integrated into that offense. And I think that showed up in a few key spots. In fact, I had a lot of key spots down the stretch. And yeah, we lost that game. But if you can play that team like that, that's my evidence that this is a team that if we get it going, and yeah, we have to get Cam back and we have to get into more of an offensive flow. And we need some confidence. I felt like at the end of that Virginia game, we didn't have a lot of confidence.
And I think that comes from Jabari and Ivan being hurt.
Yeah.
Because you cannot be confident when you're coming off an injury. You just don't trust it. You just don't. Like those guys.
And the team can't feed off it, right? Because those guys haven't been out
Because
there.
those 2 guys, really, when they're healthy and got it going, they project confidence.
Yeah.
They project aggression. They project,
Yeah.
hey, look, like Ivan will take over those ends when he's feeling strong. Jabari, he's got confidence in himself. It has been, like you said, it has been awesome seeing him grow and develop from where, okay, shot select, not really being an athlete playing basketball to a legitimate ball.
I just want to point out Otavio telling me to stop checking my phone. I'm checking to see if anybody's tweeting me to see if there's any other additional questions.
And he doesn't like basketball. That's the other.
Okay, all right, good. This is a good segue. I was going to ask you, I was saying best case scenario, like, are we looking at a Sweet 16 team? But we'll table that for a second. I'm going to go back and answer this. I like basketball. I like basketball. I like professional basketball.
Yeah, exactly.
The reason why I don't like Cal shooting hoops has nothing to do with the players. Has nothing, it's just aesthetically, like the flow of the game is a lot slower. Guys shoot at a lower percentage. It's just, and it's a slower paced game. Part of that is the shot clock difference and all of that. It's just, and this is one of my like hot takey opinions. It's like I prefer college football, but I don't like college basketball that much. And
Have you been to like a NBA game versus like a college?
Yeah, I mean that's slower for like in the last 2 minutes and like for TV timeouts. But I'm like the actual pace of play for me. And I've been to my fair share of Cal games. Actually, fun story. Myself and one of my really good friends, Kelsey Modi. There was a picture of us. We have a bunch of like stories from our student days, including one time when we heckled the crap out of Shabazz Muhammad. We carried a sign about him.
Yeah,
We carried a sign. It was Valentine's Day. We were like, yo, Shabazz, will you be our Valentine? We'll buy you Gucci. And we like that sign made it onto ESPN. We caught his teammate looking at it coming out of the timeout. Like, I know for sure we got his attention because he shot like 6 of 19 in that game. So I'm gonna say my heckling made a difference. So I've had enjoyable experiences at college basketball games, but I like watching basketball as a sport where I don't have to say anything important. I don't have to be like, hey, here's why this happened. Here's a sharp observation about why that messed up. Hey, here's this cool wrinkle that we just put in. Like, I like watching basketball just to be like, yo, we scored. That's dope. Or check out, like basketball is just a sport where kind of turn my brain off, and I don't have this pressure to be like reasonable. You know, I don't have to like balance that robotic and like passionate side of myself as I do for throughout my football writing. And I think it's funny because people get on you, Larry, for that, but it's like that's something that we all battle. And I guess I'm just lucky enough to like get away with it, or like maybe it's like just like I walk the tightrope like very carefully, but like I tend to avoid a lot of the flack that our writers get. So I don't know.
Well, I'm never going to be able to be objective on this because my first ever sporting event was in Harmon Gym.
Okay.
I was 9 years old. We sat in the front row.
Hi, Jesse.
It was a UCLA game. I mean, it's my first ever sporting event.
Yeah.
And I wrote my last column on Harmon Gym. And if you haven't been, if you did not experience that, and you probably did not, you may not have even been born.
Probably not.
And I've played basketball. I played basketball and coached basketball on the levels. I've never, if we use a football comparison, never played football, never coached football, and I like football a lot.
Yeah.
But I have this relationship to basketball that's personal and that comes from really those memories. And I also feel like when I walk in there, like I feel like, you know, that game's right there and it's immediate and it brings back so much for me that that being in Memorial, and I have a lot of good memories of Memorial, like I don't feel like I'm a part of what's going on out there in the same way I do at a basketball game. So that's just me and my preference. And basketball is always going to be my first love. And I love the Warriors. I've been watching the Warriors since, you know, short, like back in the day. And you know, Joe Barry Carroll. Like I've been a Warriors fan since it's a different game, absolutely. But I guess part of like what I've been doing with most of my adult life is breaking down that game. So I guess I just see it very differently. And I like our guys a lot. You know, not always. And, you know, shout out to Gino. We'll never forgive him for never passing the ball. But for the most part, I don't know. I feel like connected to the Cal basketball players in a way that you feel that connection with the football players.
Yeah.
And that matters a lot as an alum, I think.
Yeah.
So I've got a story to redeem Gina. I might have told you.
You may have told me this, but tell.
All right. So I actually, I was in dental school on break, and I was supposed to study for the GRE to apply for my orthodontic residence.
Yeah.
Instead, Cal gets into the NIT finals right at the time when I'm on break, and my mom.
Yeah, I remember 65.
You want to go to New York? I've never been to New York. I was like, I'm supposed to study for the GRE can't be that important. Okay. So off we went, and we saw shows, we shopped. It was one of the best trips I've ever had with my mom. Hi, Mom, if you're listening. You know, and we got to watch them, you know, win the whole thing. And my dad sent his camera along with me to take pictures because he loved to take pictures. Well, I got a picture of Gino on the free throw line shooting the game-winning free throw. Mm-hmm. My dad somehow, he just found a way, he got the picture framed and got it to Gino. And Gino came out to him later on and just said, hey, thank you. This is precious to me. This is something I'm going to pass on to my kids. This is really special. I really appreciate that you took the time. He was absolutely classy, not a hold the ball at all cost type of guy, at least in that moment. And it was just something that struck me because there are players who, hey, whatever. He went out of his way.
And I guess, and that's, I think, especially being a teacher the last 3-4 years, I'm proud. I have an instinct to be more forgiving. My personal problem with Gino was, a good friend of mine was a manager on the Northwestern team. That people don't remember Gino transferred from Northwestern, and he treated, according to my friend who had no reason to lie to me, he treated all the staff like they were dirt. He was a highly rated pick for Northwestern. I want to say it's like top 100 coming in, and he walked in like that, according to my friend Harley, and was like that throughout his Northwestern career. So I was already predisposed to not liking. And then he came, and his style was not exactly team ball, right? So that was reinforced on the court. But I think back now, that's an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid. I think it's like the Tosh thing. I think I used to make judgments a lot more firmly than I do now. And that's actually a very cool story. And you can see Gino maturing even in his days at Cal. So.
Okay, Scotty, I just want to give you a heads up because I know you have to tuck 2 daughters into bed, possibly. It is 8:30. We've been on like.
And look at him trying to act all sensitive and stuff because previously when I was doing pods and I was telling him it was tough because it would go on bedtime, I have written proof. He just said, I think they'll live.
I mean,
It's fine.
one
They'll
is
live.
there's a video record of this, so I gotta look good. But you know, we're in your house right now, so I want to be.
And he fed us an amazing
He
dinner.
doesn't want the
An
kids to get
amazing
their
dinner.
sleep. He wants them to go to school and be all emo.
It's
or-
a dinner that he worked on for 2 days.
Yeah, I was just putting it out there
Yeah,
because
his
I
wife
didn't
working
know,
on it. Shout out to Anna for the great ribs.
didn't know how long we were gonna run tonight. You know, we still have like some of our people watching. If you want us to shut the hell up and like finish this up, that's fine. Just like leave us a comment. All 9 of you, and that's Nick, Terrence, Rob, whoever. Shout out to you guys for watching us because Nick said he missed the game to like continue watching our live stream.
Oh, man,
I appreciate that.
Nick always makes me feel guilty.
But yeah, just like
He's such
let
a
us
good,
know.
reasonable guy.
We love
Nick for
comments.
MVP. Can we
Like-
just chant MVP?
I just feel guilty. I'm like, gosh, I feel good, dude. I go with my first instinct, and then Nick's all reason. I'm like, oh, I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we still have like a
everyone's
whole
some
host
guy,
of
and then Nick
topics.
comes in and it's like something nice.
Rob, how much alcohol have you had so far? I've had 2 beers. That's it. That's more than anybody here. Do I seem really drunk? Don't answer that.
He pre-gamed too, then.
I had 3 beers. So that's, you know.
More questions on you.
Yeah, so if there's something you want to hear us talk about, otherwise I feel like we'll probably be talking for at least another half hour
I can
easily.
brag the kids. Hey, kids, if I give you ice cream, you want to stay up?
Uh,
That'd be cool. Shanna
Um,
has to take care of them tomorrow.
so I had a couple of other things that I know we wanted to for sure get to. So on the CGB topic list, we've already done, you know, basketball rest of the season. Oh, we didn't get to this. Best case scenario for this year. How deep do we go into the tournament? Since we both said that we're a tournament team.
I don't like measuring a one-and-done tournament that
Yeah,
way.
I know, because it's
So-
a crapshoot. It goes against all
but
of your
I think-
robot. Yes.
I think that we could be. This is a reasonable answer. I think we could be top 3 in the Pac-12, and I think by the end of the year we could be playing like, let's say, a top 15 team in the nation. That's best case scenario to me, which is equivalent to Sweet 16, depending on the crapshoot.
Yeah, you know, I look at our flaws. You know, we've been one and done a lot. Just looking at where we are from a seeding standpoint, sadly enough, a lot of things are going to go right for us to avoid kind of, yeah, you could have a reasonable first game, but that second game is going to be a bear. In that second game, you could potentially see someone like Virginia, who we just played, to a standstill without being at full strength. So best case scenario, I could see Sweet 16. Sadly, just the way the arms race is in college basketball, it's really hard for me to see us being like one of, you know, like competing with, you know, those Elite 8, Final 4 type of teams where you look and go, well, that team's just loaded. You know, that's almost not college ball, playing college ball. So, and, you know, as part of me actually likes that, you know, the fact that we're going in, you know, like we're going in the Pac-12. There's teams that recruit better than us, you know, like Arizona's always the one. You know, like I hate Oregon's coach because he's, you know, an unethical scumbag and he's got a bunch of mercenaries, but they're talented. And, you know, then you've got UCLA, which I kind of hate them too, just because it's UCLA basketball.
I will say I'm making the trip to the UCLA game to go see Lonzo Ball. Just if he's all kind of all to like what he's got to be. By the way, Otavio says the only way to officially end this live stream is that I have to sing "Fight for California."
That's actually a great point. We'll sing it for you. Let me point out one thing on the MVP piece. I was just looking up Virginia's stats tonight. So Louisville, let's just use KenPom measures. It's easy that way. Best defensive team in the country, according to KenPom. I think only Nick will understand this, but I'm going to say it on stream anyway. Virginia put up a 1.0 on them, points per possession. We held them to .93.
That's really good.
And
Even I
this
know
was at This was at Louisville, so apples to apples. Okay. After Virginia had a week to prep. So I think that, yes, I saw, for example, Duke live against UNLV when I was in Vegas on vacation a few weeks ago. And yes, does our talent scream that? No, it doesn't. But you can play defense. You can get in a close game with anyone. I think we proved
This
that
is one of
last
those
week.
sports tautology.
Right?
Like,
But this one's like, but it's just true. You shut people down, and you will be in a close game with them. Like, period. Like, that's just how it works.
But that's where we need that confidence.
And that's where
It's that edge that we don't quite have,
Yeah.
where we've got the defense, but do we have that last 2-minute cojones to execute and just say, yeah, we're taking this.
and I think the flip side is, and like compared to the elite team, are we going to blow out? Let's take a top 40 team like a Seton. Are we going to blow them out by like 20 because we're that good? No. I think that's the danger of Konzo playing this style and not having a cohesive offense right now. Absolutely, not having that confidence. So we're going to have to win close games, like on Friday. It's going to be a
I'm
close
gonna go to the bathroom, so
But-
I'm gonna let these two continue carrying the conversation for a little bit.
But I think the upside of having an elite defense is you can get on the court with a Kentucky, with a UCLA, hopefully, and I'm not necessarily predicting this because I don't think we match up well with them, but you can get on the court with an elite offensive team or just an elite talent team and play them close. That's what Konzo coaches to. That's what we're designed to do. Are we going to be able to get over the hump? I don't know. I mean, coin flips are hard to predict. That's why they're coin flips. That's why I'm still hurting for Virginia. I still haven't watched a minute of the Virginia tapes yet, other than what Terrence posted, because I'm still not ready for that. But yeah, I think that's why I have some optimism. For the Virginia actually left me more positive than when I walked in there.
After you got over being in a fetal position for all day.
Well, see, that's where we joke about the robot Larry, right? And then I write an emotional column. People are like, where did this come from? Because I had like emotional Larry's still not over that game. Rational Larry knows it was actually like regardless of the outcome of the last 3 minutes of coin flip, that's all it really was, right? Regardless of the outcome of what was a random series of events at the end, and one which was just horrific that went against them. Regardless of that outcome, like objectively, what we learned about this basketball team is very positive, right? And so I know that in my rational mind. And the part of my mind that was screaming continues to scream inside, and I'm not over that yet. And I might not be till Friday.
We knock off. Yeah, that would get you over it.
That made me feel a lot better. I, alas, am not going to that game, so Namspath and mine will not cross at a basketball game because I don't, as a general rule, go to games that I write about for exactly the reason I was talking about. I try to write rationally because I want to earn my CGV salary.
Of $0.
$0.
I don't get paid for this.
Which Twist has tripled at the Cal Poly game for me, so thank you, Twist.
So generous.
But so once a year I will go to a game that I write about, but otherwise I don't because I can't. First of all, I can't rewind, and second of all, like I get too emotionally invested in it that I can't see.
I mean, I am going to the Friday game.
the things. I know, and I'm not
Oh,
writing
okay.
about it.
Oh, okay. So you're going to be watching from
So I'm going to be watching from home.
Okay.
I'm going on Sunday. Scotty's tickets.
Okay. Okay, cool. So, other topics that I wanted to make sure that we talked about. So, do we have anybody on the football or shooty hoops roster who could play the sport at the other level? A la Tony Gonzalez. This is from our good friend Steve Croner.
And the hoop team, I don't think so.
Yeah, I just don't.
I don't have the football team as well as you guys.
I mean, the best pound-for-pound athletes on the football team would probably be Milquise, Zion, Demetrius. Demetrius could probably do anything.
Oh, dude. I'm feeling stupid. I didn't think of that immediately.
Like like when I saw this question, I was like, D-Rob could probably thrive in any sport. You know, if he is basically borderline freshman All-American. You know, there's some teams that leave him off, some teams that have him, but basically we're talking about an All-American talent, and he doesn't even know how to play receiver yet. He runs 2 routes. He runs a streak, and he runs the little kind of like tunnel screen quick hitch thing. Like, that's it. He doesn't run any other routes yet. And yet, you know, he's our deep leading receiver. He's getting this far basically on his natural talent. And that is not a diss. If anything, that's to me being like, yo, he has so much potential left. He's what, like 6'1", like 180, 190 pounds. He could play guard. I think he could definitely dunk.
So it tops. Well, like what I'm thinking of is, you know, like Nate Robinson, he played cornerback for Washington. And then, you know, he transitioned to the NBA, and he was a shorter guy, but
Yeah,
explosive pops.
What you're looking for is someone with just transcendent athletic ability, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're looking for. So,
That's why Milquise is a good
yeah,
choice.
the person that comes to mind from last year, I mean Jaylen Brown on a football field
Yeah.
would have been fun to watch.
Well,
I don't know if he has
one
any
thing about
hands.
Demetrius that I don't know is he's fast and he can jump, but there's that kind of quick twitch, you know, level.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, Milquise, yeah, he's a little short, but his body control.
I mean, he's like
very
not
incredible.
much smaller than Charlie Moore. If like, by the way, Charlie's listed at like 5'11". He's got to be close to like 5'9". I feel like.
I'm guessing fun.
So, okay, I think that's. Oh shoot, what just happened? All right, let me know in the comments what you guys just saw, because like on our screen the feed just like seemed to have died, but it also says that we're still broadcasting. So let me know in the. Okay, you guys can see it. I think that kind of does it, at least as far as things that people wanted us to talk about. I don't know. Is there anything that you guys still want to make sure that we touched on for the Cal like Sports Summit?
It's kind of bad because I get the sense that Larry and I could talk until the kids woke up again tomorrow about random hoop things. That's not good.
Yeah.
If we've riffed on football, we just keep talking about what ifs and things, and yeah, it's not good.
I think one thing I thought about was, I don't know exactly who these gifts are to, but I like the idea of ending.
Oh yeah.
on
I
the,
feel like at
gifts to
least
the Cal community.
that also gives people a few more minutes to trickle in with anything else they want to make sure we sound off on. But with it being the giving season, if we can award one gift to either player, coach, whatever, what would we be giving out if we were Santa Claus for the proverbial Cal program? You guys want me to start?
If you have one, go ahead.
Okay, so the obvious thing that we're gonna do, the obvious thing would be like, oh yeah, I would love to have like, I don't know, Nick Saban or whatever, like a head coach, right? But
Pretty scary. Season
something along the more realistic lines is I would love to give the Cal defense a legit pass rusher. I know we all continue to be really depressed at how Takaris McKinley got away from us and is a future first-round pick. But given that, a guy like him, you can see what he would do for our defense in general. It just has a general supercharging effect for everybody else. So I would love for us to get a consistent 10 or even 8 sack guy. I would love to have an 8 sack player on this defense. Well, we don't have 8 sacks, basically. It was like taking our top 2 pass rushers.
Oh, I thought you were saying the last 2 years.
Oh, yeah. It definitely feels like 8 total in the last 2 years. So for me, I would love to gift the Cal team a impact pass rusher.
Well, this will amuse some of you, but probably not surprise you guys. My gift is actually for Stephen Domingo. And he's been the topic of a lot of discussion. You know what the numbers are. It was actually a little discouraging being in the stands and listening to the way just random people were talking about him. Because in my mind, and I have disparaged players too, so I'm guilty as well, but in my mind, like, he's one of our guys, and he's worked so hard. And you hear the stories from practice, and you hear Coach talk about him, you hear his teammates talk about him. He's gotten leadership awards, and he's He's just a guy who's a person I want representing this university. And so it's been difficult for me to watch what's happened to him on the court. And I don't even know what I want that outcome to look like for him, but I want him to have success. And I want him to be rewarded for the decision he made to come here and for all of the work that he's put in. Because I think it's just got to be rough for a guy who's just, I mean, he's 22 years old, right? He's still a kid. That's my age, but that's where we're at, right? He's still a very, very young person going through some very difficult stuff on the court. Never see him put his head down. He just goes back and plays defense. But I would like to see that work and that loyalty and that perseverance rewarded with some success on the court. That would be my holiday gift.
That's really beautiful, Robot Larry. Just don't leak any cool in your circuit boards. Scotty.
So I'd like to give Luke Rubenzer a full recovery, not just for playing football, but for beyond, where he's not going to wake up and be, man, I can't do this, with my kids. I wish I can't do this activity anymore. Like talk about a team first guy who, like
Luke Rubenzer is Matt Saracen.
How could you ask anything more from a cowman? Right?
Yeah.
And he's paid for it physically. It's rough to see, it's rough to see that happening. And for someone who is just that upbeat, that positive, that cow, for his team, sure, we'd like to see, on the field success. We'd like to see him bounce back. We'd like to see him grow and develop. But more than that, I just want to say, hey, as your days of football are done, I hope that you've got a full recovery, long, healthy life, and thank you for representing us so well.
And then last question, do you have any New Year's resolutions regarding Cal?
Regarding Cal?
I don't know, like if there's like a Cal athletics
Is
related
this, like how
resolution.
I'm supposed to interact with Cal?
I don't know.
Represent Cal?
I guess I was giving you the option to be like, I resolve not to have another meltdown when we, it was a space for just any of us to say whatever
I
if we
resolve
had
not to make another fan base hate me.
You know what? That's actually a really, really
Do
great.
not really resolve that, though. See, that is a lie. That is a complete and utter lie.
Resolutions are made
That
to
is
be broken.
That is, in fact, it's like the opposite. He resolves every time he sits down to write.
See,
a
like
column.
me, I'm just like so careful. Like I'm not trying to piss anybody off except our own coaching staff sometimes, apparently. But Scotty's like.
Actually, I do. I think I have one that I have every time. Every time we enter conference season, and I do this. I actually write about this, I think, every year. The 18 games of conference are like why we do this. And I think having the Robot Larry side of me, way too much time to run numbers. I worry a lot. I run a lot of bracket projections. I run a lot of comparison numbers. I mean, I have to for some of the stuff I do on the side, and sometimes it's just what my mind does. And we are in a precarious position even getting into the tournament right now. That's kind of sort of where we stand. And I'm worried that we blow that even further in the next 2 weeks to the point where we need something really high end to even recover from the next couple of weeks, right? We could go 1-3 in the next 2 series. That's really going to put us in the hole. But my resolution is like the NCAA tournament, whatever, that's 1 week, that's 2 weeks anyway, right? Like we have 9 weeks coming up before we even have to like worry about the NCAA tournament, and so I want to enjoy that, and I want to go to the games and appreciate our players and appreciate Ivan Rabb and
That's gonna
appreciate
last
the
like 4 days.
experience.
Wow, I'll take the under.
Rather than and appreciate the journey of Cal basketball and this team, because I like Jabari Bird now, and people for 2 years, because I criticized Jabari a lot in his first 2 years, like vilified me for being a Jabari hater, being unfair, and in my reaction all the time was like, I just right about what I see. He's not playing defense. Right? That was my criticism for 2 years. He's a great defender now. He's a great kid. He's a Cal man. He's a multi-generation Cal man. He's leaving this year, and Scott told me that he was going to be gone forever. Right? This is the guess that I got from him, and I bought into that, and I was just like, let's see what the season looks like. He's on the court. Ivan's here. Charlie Moore is just the truth. Sam Singer playing well, because just like Domingo, no one deserves to play well more than Sam Singer, right?
Yeah.
That dude's been like second string, over and over again. He just goes out there and competes, right? I want to appreciate that, and I want to appreciate the games and the experience, and then in March, we'll worry about March.
When I asked this question, I didn't really know what people were going to respond. I was just one of those things where I was like, oh, it's like the spirit of the season. I don't know if I have a Cal-related, resolution, except, do good work and hopefully watch us win a bowl game. Go to a bowl game, which hasn't really happened that often since I've started writing. I think it's funny because me and Avi, as two of the larger voices in the community now, both basically signed on as soon as Cal started sucking. And we like to joke that basically the day we quit, Cal will be really good again. And it would be really dope to be able to, know that we're going to a good bowl game, hopefully, maybe pay my way out to attend that. I've never been paid to do any of the stuff that I do, or at least tickets wise. I don't sit at games in the media section. I pay to go to games because I'm not a professional. So I wouldn't be cheering in the press box. Anyway, my point is, I guess my resolution is to keep hopefully doing the kind of work that people enjoy reading, and hopefully enjoy some success, because this Cal team next year will probably be winning 4, 5, 6 games again. We will be in it to the very end for fighting for a bowl bid. That's what it looks like. All right, so there are still 8 people watching. We didn't get any other general topics to discuss. We've been on stream for an hour and a half, which would be really, really long.
Well, you guys normally go for an hour, and then I'm here. So
yeah, so Robot and Larry accounted for the extra half hour. So here's what's going to happen with this video. Those of you guys who watched it, you already watched it. Later in the week, I will kind of skim through the video again, try to place down some timestamps for people to check this out on CGB, just so people tune into whatever's interested in them. This kind of just evolved, flowed. Didn't expect for it to last as long as it did, but hopefully you enjoyed. Those of you guys who watched, thank you for watching. Those of you guys who are future watchers, thank you for watching as well. This has been a interesting year of Cal sports, and we're sticking with it. We're born into this, so we'll see you guys on the other side in 2017. Thanks for watching, and go Bears.
Go Bears.
Go Bears.
All right.
That was fun.
Yeah.